Does Marco have bloody and brutal fight sequences? Yes. Does it have a well choreographed and well shot one take action scene? Definitely. Does it have majority of the elements that I like in an action film? Yes. But did I actually like this film? No. The BGM of this film is really impressive. Both the theme of Marco as well as that of the antagonist. Unni Mukundan looks absolute badass in the film, and these are about the two things that I really like about this film. We'll talk about the action and violence a little later in this video. Before I talk about the major flaw of this film, I want to talk about a few minor flaws that work against the film. The first half of the film is slightly boring. Not because nothing happens in this film, but because of the janky screenplay and editing. In the first 30 to 45 minutes of the film, it tries to implement a non-linear structure of storytelling, but due to choppy editing and the film's inability to stay on a single moment for a while, the progression of events in the first 20-25 minutes is actually hard to track. The introduction of the title character is a flashback sequence and not happening in the current timeline is not something that was clear right away. As someone who went in expecting a lot of bloodshed from the very first scene of this film, the first half of the film was actually too slow. It somewhat did its job of setting up the characters and family dynamics, but the violence that I enjoyed comes right before the interval and is a glimpse of the violence that is about to come later in this film. One of the things that I felt the film is trying to shy away from is portraying Marco, Unni Mukundan's character, as a total psychotic killer, as in the complete bad guy. Of course, he is the anti hero of this film, but I felt the dichotomy of wanting to portray him both as a good guy as well as a ruthless, merciless killer, which again works against the film. I mean, the introduction scene of Marco is him killing two dogs, and instead of being unapologetic about it, the dialogue that immediately follows is don't mind me, I'm a dog lover, mere paas ek husky hai. Another thing is that the character seems to be doing a lot in this film with his badass smoking cigar scenes and slow motion walks, but at the core of it, he's just going and talking to different people with the people he's supposed to kill. Marco remains to be somewhat of an undercooked character, and the emotional core, which is his relationship with his brother, is also not very well fleshed out. And we don't fully understand Marco's belief system and ideology in the film. Marco's younger brother Victor is killed by the son of one of the members of the gold smuggling syndicate that Marco's elder brother is a part of. Marco, who supposedly loved his brother way too much, comes back and vows to avenge his brother's death. The first half of the film is just the syndicate members making Marco go in circles, trying to find his brother's killers. I mean, everybody that Marco goes and talks to is already been approached by the syndicate guys and told to not open their mouth in front of Marco. And the unintentionally funny thing is, the antagonist of the film is the guy who's taking Marco to all these places. Before the interval of this film, Marco finds out that the guy sitting right next to him is the actual killer of his brother. How does he find that out? Because conveniently, there is a YouTuber in this film who placed his camera right outside the place where Marco's brother's friend was murdered, and I was like, at least have Marco figure out on his own that who the killer is. Because it is established in the film that Marco has the knowledge that whoever killed his brother also burnt his hand. So Marco could have seen that the guy he's sitting with has a burn on his hand or has a cast on his hand. So he could have put two and two together, but no, the film had to be very convenient about it. That, oh, this random YouTuber just gave me a clip video recording of the murder and whatnot. Then in the second half of this film, there is a lot of crossing and double crossing involved. Marco cannot kill the villain because Victor's girlfriend, who's pregnant with his baby, is being held captive by the bad guys. In the second half, the violence begins as Marco goes to rescue Victor's girlfriend. Marco climbs up the stairs, killing loads and loads of men with whatever weapon he can find, and if no weapon at all, he kills them with his hands. That was actually a really great scene because it was well shot, well choreographed, great action scenes, and there was an emotional core to it that he is going to rescue someone. There is also an undercooked theme in the film about blood and blood relations and family, because Marco is an adopted child, so his family does not see him as their own. So seemingly the birth of Victor's son becomes a big plot line in the final act of the film. But The final 30 minutes of the film is where the film loses all of its emotional core and becomes absolute violence porn, but not the good kind. The film builds towards the birth of Victor's son, juxtaposed with armed men entering their home to kill the entire family. And in a shocking turn of events, what ends up happening is Marco's entire family is killed, and in horrific manners. One of the kids is hanged, other one is thrown off a staircase, and one of the kids gets his skull smashed by a cylinder. The people are shot, women are shot and stabbed, and what the fuck not. Victor's girlfriend gets stabbed in the face and fucking dies. I mean, at this point, as I was sitting in the theater, it started to feel unreal. I was like, okay, this is not happening in real time. This is not the direction this film is going to. I hope that this is some kind of fuck all dream sequence and whatnot. Because I was so out of the film that I was like, am I watching the same film had been watching up until this point or not? The story completely goes off the rails and it's just gruesome violence against men, women, and children. Whatever understanding we have of Marco and his bond with his family is completely erased. The bad guys conveniently do not kill Marco because every film ever. The bad guys don't kill the newborn baby either for some reason, but at that point, if they had killed the newborn baby, the film would have stayed the same. Because Marco going to save that one baby is not a strong enough reason for me to care. See, when I go and watch a film, there is a subconscious desire to watch the protagonist win, or at least accomplish his goal, or at least avenge the death of the loved one. If I talk about kill again, during the interval scene, Tulika dies. And the second half of the film is the journey that Amrit takes to reach Funny. He kills loads and loads of men, and when he finally reaches the main bad guy, he beats him to a pulp. But it's not satisfying in the least to have the protagonist's entire family get killed 10 minutes before he avenges their deaths. इट्स लाइक मेरे घर में कोई आया, मेरे मुंह पे 2 थप्पड़ मारे और चला गया. मैं बाहर निकला, अपनी स्कूटी पे बैठा, उसके घर पे गया और उसको 2 थप्पड़ मार के आ गया. It's equivalent of that. Had the family been killed in the interval or even the first half of the film, and seeing Marco go on a journey through the crime world, killing loads and loads and loads of men, and then finally reaching the bad guy and ripping his heart out and decapitating him, that would have been satisfying. That would have been fun. But the way the final act of Marco unfolds, it gives us no time to let the impact of the family's death settle in. And honestly, it gave me no reason to care whether Marco kills the bad guy in the end or not. And the bad guy saying, "Why so serious? Let me put a smile on this face," was unintentionally hilarious. I was like, fuck, what the fuck? The massacre of Marco's family is a horrific and disturbing scene. But instead of serving as a gut punch that gets us hyped up for Marco's journey going forward in the film, it actually ends up killing the entire emotional core of the film. Because there is no journey anymore. Brother's death was a good enough emotional core. If they wanted to hype things up, they could have killed the elder brother also in the home invasion sequence. But killing off an entire family, and it just did not work. Because imagine Marco killing the bad guys, then coming back to his family to see the newborn baby of his brother, his newborn nephew. It would have been an emotionally stimulating scene. But like I said in the earlier sections of this video, the film does not stay on any one moment. Marco kills the bad guy and the film immediately cuts away. And as Marco is walking out of the building that he killed the bad guys in, the film just abruptly ends, leaving behind an unsettling feeling.